Hi kids, this is your friend Achal welcoming you on Aarchi series by Heaven's Publishing House. This is your coursework English Skylights by Shikha Sharma. And today children, we are going to begin with chapter number 4 of your class 8 series, and the name of the chapter is 3 questions. Right? So are you all ready to begin? Good. Now, firstly, these are some frequently asked questions, like what is a myth and what is a folk tale? There is slight difference between the two, right? What is a myth? It is a traditional story about some very courageous people like heroes or gods, right? And on the other hand, what is a folk tale? A folk tale is a tale or a story about some people or also about some animals, right? Clear? Okay. Now, you have to find out about whether this these three stories are myths or folk tales, right? So this is up to you to complete this exercise. Good. Now, children, about the lesson. The lesson is about wisdom, knowledge, awareness, kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance. Right? These are so many virtues. This story is all about that. It is a parable of an emperor. What is a parable, children? Parable is a short story that teaches you something at the end. That means a good moral for you. Right? So this is a parable of an emperor who seeks out a holy man for answers. We will help him to be a great ruler. Let's see what are the questions that have come to his mind, and will he get answers to all those questions in the end or not? So let's get started. It once occurred to a certain king that if he always knew the right time to begin everything, if he knew who were the right people to listen to and whom to avoid, and above all, if he always knew what was the most important thing to do, he would never fail in anything he might undertake. So, children, there was a king who once thought of these three questions. He thought that in order to never make mistakes in his life, he must know the answer to these three questions. These three very important questions. What were those questions? First was, he knew who were the right people to listen to. Sorry, first was that he knew what is the right time to begin everything or start everything. Right? Or second question was, who were the right people in his life and who he should avoid. Thirdly, if he always knew what was the most important thing to do. Right? So these three questions, he believed that if he knew answers of, his life would be sorted and he would never fail in anything in his life. And this thought having occurred to him, he had it proclaimed. Proclaimed means he had it known to all his people. He had it proclaimed throughout his kingdom that he would give a great reward to anyone who would tell him what was the right time for every action and who were the most necessary people and how he might know what was the most important thing to do. So he made this known to his people in his kingdom that whoever is going to give me the answer to these questions will get a reward. So let's see. And learned men came to the king, but they answered this question differently. So learned people started coming to the king with all sorts of answers, but everyone was coming with a different answer, right? In reply to the first question. So what did people have in reply to the first question of the king? Some said that to know the right time for every action, one must draw in advance a table of days, months, and years, and must live strictly according to it. Only just that way could everything be done at proper time. So some people said that in order to do everything on time, proper time, the king must draw a schedule, right? It should be days, months, and years, and he should strictly adhere to that schedule. Only then will he be able to do everything at the right time. Others, what they said, others declared that it's impossible to decide beforehand the right time for every action, but that not letting oneself be absorbed in idle pastimes. Right? He said that, others said that it was possible to decide beforehand what is the right time for every action. Some believed it was not possible, but that not letting oneself be absorbed in idle pastimes. That means one should instead, what should he do? He should not waste his time, right? He should not involve in idle pastimes. What are idle pastimes, children? These are certain things, or you may say hobbies that you develop in order to pass your time, right? One should always attend to all that was going on and then do what was most needful. So one should first see what is going on and then decide accordingly what to be done. Right. Others again said that, however, attentive the king might be to what was going on, it was impossible for one man to decide correctly the right time for every action, but that he should have council of wise men, a team of wise men who would help to fix the proper time for everything. Others, what they said? They said that it is not possible for one man to advise the king about the proper timing. So he should be hiring a proper team of advisors, a proper team of a council of wise men who would advise the king for the proper timing of everything. They would fix the proper timing for everything. But then again, others said that there were some things which could not wait to be laid before a council. There are few things that are very, very urgent and needs to be tended right away. So the king would not have time to lay that matter in front of his councilmen. So, but about which one has once to decide whether to undertake them or not. King will have to decide that at that very moment. But in order to decide that, one must know beforehand what was going to happen. So the people say that, and in order to decide that, one must know what is going to happen. One must know the future, right? And it is only magicians who know that. Therefore, in order to know the right time for every action, one must consult magicians. So some people said king must appoint a council of wise men, and some said that he must consult magicians for that. Right? All these people, they were coming with different answers every time. Equally various were the answers to the second question. Equally, people were giving different answers for the second question as well. Some said the people the king needed the most was his counselors. Others said the priests were more important. Others said the doctors. While some said the warriors were the most necessary. So again, the answers are varying every time. And to the third question as to what was the most important occupation, some replied that the most important thing in the world was science, right? The king must know about science. Others said it was skill in warfare, and others again said that it was religious worship, right? So again, people were giving different answers for all the three questions. So nothing could satisfy the kings, right? All the answers being different, the king agreed with none of them and gave the reward to none. Nobody received the award for giving the correct answer. Still wishing to find the right answer to his question, he decided to consult a hermit widely renowned for his wisdom. So now, still he was seeking the answers to his questions, and now he decided that he is going to go and visit the hermit, right? Hermit was a person who has, he lives alone, right? He doesn't have any contact with other people. He likes to live alone. He is a quitter, right? And he is widely renowned for his wisdom, right? Wisdom, children, what is wisdom? His, ability to think sensibly in situations, right? So that hermit was very, very sensible. He had wisdom and experience of life. So he thought of seeking answers from that hermit. The hermit lived in a wood which he never quitted, right? He lived in a wood hut from where he never used to go out, and he received none. And he did not use to entertain many guests, but only common folk, only common people were allowed to visit that house. So the king put on simple clothes, and before reaching the hermit's cell, dismounted from his horse. So he was going on horseback, and just before he was about to reach the hermit's cell, he got off from the horse, he dismounted the horse. And leaving his bodyguards behind, he left all his bodyguards also behind, went on alone, right? He went on to meet the hermit all alone. When the king rose, the hermit was digging earth in front of his house. Seeing the king, he greeted him and went on digging. The hermit was frail and weak. So when the king approached hermit, he saw that he was digging earth in front of his hut, right? And when he saw the king, he quietly greeted him and continued doing whatever he was doing. He was digging. Right. The hermit was very, very weak. He was very frail and very weak. And each time he stuck his spade into the ground, each time he stuck his spade to dig out earth, he breathed heavily. He was so weak that it was taking a lot of effort on his part to dig the earth. The king went up to him and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. Again, the same 3 questions he asked the hermit. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I most need? And whom should I therefore pay more attention to than the rest? And what affairs are the most important and they need my first priority? So again, he put forward the 3 questions that had come to his mind. The hermit listened to the king, but he answered nothing. He did not give any answer, but he remained silent. Instead, he just spat on his hand and recommenced digging. He continued doing whatever he was doing. So he continued, he resumed digging. Right? He did not give any answer to the king's question. He simply spat on his hand and continued digging. Right? So the king said, you are tired. Let's take the spade and work a while for you. So the king, he felt pity on the hermit that he was so weak and still he was doing so much work. So he took pity on the hermit and said that you look tired. I am going to let me do the work for you while you take some rest. Okay. Thanks, said the hermit, and giving the spade to the king, he sat down on the ground. Right. When he had dug 2 beds, so king was digging earth and he had already dug 2 beds. The king stopped and repeated his question. He once again repeated all his questions to the hermit. The hermit again gave no answer but rose. He got up, stretched his hand for the spade and said, now rest a while and let me work a bit. Instead of giving the answers, what the hermit said, now give me the spade back, I'll continue working and you take rest for a while. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. But the king did not give back the spade and he continued digging the earth. 1 hour passed and another. So a couple of hours passed. He was digging continuously. The sun began to sink behind the trees. And the king at last stuck the spade into the ground and said, when he was done, he was he was irritated that why the hermit was not giving answers to his questions. He said, I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me none, tell me so, and I will return it. He said that he was irritated that he asked the hermit that if you do not have answers to my questions, wise man, then tell me so, and I will soon return back to my home. Why are you not saying anything? Here comes someone running, said the hermit. Let us see who it is. So, just that point of time, the hermit said that, look, there is someone who is coming, running towards us. Let's see who it is. The king turned round. The king turned to look at the man and saw a bearded man come running out of the woods. There was a man, he was running towards their direction out of the woods. The man held his hand pressed against his stomach. He had held his hand against his stomach and blood was flowing from under them. His stomach was bleeding. Right? When he reached the king, he fell fainting on the ground, moaning feebly. That means he was crying in pain feebly. That means very, very weakly. He fainted just before he reached the king. He fainted and was crying with pain. Right? The king and the hermit unfastened the man's clothing. They undid his clothing. There was a large wound in his stomach. Right? The king washed it as best as he could and bandaged it with his handkerchief and with a towel that the hermit had. So what the king did, he washed his wound and bandaged it with one of the handkerchiefs that he had and the towel that was there with the hermit. But the blood would not stop flowing. It was flowing at a very large speed. And the king again and again removed the bandage soaked with warm blood. He would wash it again and re-bandage the wound. So king was repeatedly doing the same thing. He would wash the soaked bandage that was soaked in the blood and he would wash it again and again, try to bandage his wound. When at last the blood ceased flowing, when at last the blood stopped flowing, the man revived. He again came into consciousness and asked for something to drink. So then the king brought fresh water and gave it to him. What the king did, he gave fresh water to the bearded man. Meanwhile, the sun had set and it had become cool. Meanwhile, the sun had already set and it was cool. So, the king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man to the hut and laid him on the bed. King and the hermit, they took the wounded man inside the hut and laid him peacefully on the bed. Lying on the bed, the man closed his eyes and was quiet. The man was not sleeping, he was simply closing his eyes and was very quiet. He was not saying anything. But the king was so tired with his walk and with all the work that he had done that he crouched down. What is crouch? Kneeling down. He kneeled down on the threshold. Threshold is just the ground where the room begins. Right? Just at the entry of the room. Just at the beginning of a room, he fell asleep. Right? So soundly that he slept all through the short summer night. Right? He slept all night. He was so tired. When he awoke in the morning, it was long before he could remember where he was. So when he woke up in the morning, he could not even remember where he was. And when he realized where he was or who was the strange bearded man lying on the bed, and he was gazing intensely, very attentively at him with shining eyes. Now he was thinking, who is this bearded man who is gazing at him, who is looking at him with shining eyes? Forgive me, said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw that the king was awake and was looking at him. So what were the first words that came out of that bearded man's mouth? He said that, forgive me. Now the king did not understand what for he was asking forgiveness. I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for. He said, I do not even know you. What will I forgive you for? the king. You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you because you you killed his brother and seized his property. I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. So what did the bearded man reveal here? He told that you do not know me, but I know you, and I am that enemy of yours who brother you had killed, and also you had seized my property. So I was on my way to kill you and take my revenge. Right? He was waiting for the king to return after visiting the hermit, and he had planned to kill him, to kill the king on his way. Right? But the day passed, you did not return, but all the day passed, and when you did not return, I came out from my ambush to find you. He came out from his hiding place where he was waiting for the king in order to kill him. Yes, he came out from his ambush to find you, and I came upon your bodyguard, and they recognized me and wounded me. And when I came out from my hiding place looking for you, your bodyguards, they recognized me and they wounded me. They stabbed me. Right? I escaped from there, but should have led to death. That he said that I escaped from them, but had it not been you, I would have led to death. I would have bleeded. Right? Had you not dressed my wounds, had you not dressed my wounds, I would have not been alive. I wished to kill you and you saved my life. See, he's saying that I came here and I wanted to kill you, but on the other hand, you are the one who saved my life. Right? Now, if I live and if you wish it, now only if you wish to let me live, I will serve you as your most faithful slave and will bid my sons to do the same. So he says that if you let me live, if you leave me, I am going to be your most faithful slave, and also my sons will be. I will ask my sons to also serve you. Now he again asked for his forgiveness. He said, forgive me. The king was very glad to have made peace with his enemy. So you see, the king was very happy that he could make peace with his enemy. Right? And to have gained him for a friend. And he not only forgave him, but said he would send his servants and his own physician, his own doctor to attend to him and promised to restore his property. And he also promised the man that he would give back his property and also send servants and doctors to help him out. Right? Having taken leave of the wounded man, now the king was ready to leave. The king went out into the porch and looked around for the hermit. So he took leave of the bearded man and went out looking for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to beg an answer to the questions he had put. So once again, he thought of seeking answers to his questions. The hermit was outside on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. He was now sowing seeds on those beds that he was digging the day before. The king approached him and said, for the last time, I pray you, I request you to answer the questions, wise man. He again requested him to answer those questions. You have already been answered. What did the hermit reply? You have already got the answers, said the hermit, still crouching, still kneeling down on the ground and looking up at the king who stood before him. He said that you already know all the answers. How answered? What do you mean? King did not understand how he was answered the questions and what were those answers. Do you not see, replied the hermit, if you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, but had gone your way, that man would have attacked you and you would have repented for not having faith with me. He said that had it not been the pity you felt for me yesterday, you would have gone your way, you fetched tea on me, you stayed for digging the earth in place of me, and you did not go back. Had you gone back, that bearded man would have killed you on your way back, and then you would have repented. You would have felt bad that why you did not stop at my place. So the most important time was when you were digging the bed. These are the answers to this question, right? So the most important time was when you were digging the bed. And who was the most important person? The hermit. I was the most important man. And to do me good was your most important business. The most important thing to do at that time was to do good to hermits, right? So these are the answers to all these three questions. And he continues, after when that man ran to us, the most important time was when you were tending upon him, when you were bandaging him. At that time, that was the most important of all the time. For if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you, right? So he was the most important business and he was the most important man at that moment in your life. Remember that there is only one time that is important. The only time when we have any power, that is the only time that we have power is the present time, right? So that is the time in the present. We should live in the present. That is the most important time. The most necessary man is he with whom you are, and the most necessary, most important man is with whom you are at that point of time. And for no man knows whether he will ever have dealing with anyone else. And the most important affair at that time, what is the most important thing to be done? It is to do him good. Because for that purpose alone was man sent into his life. So to live in the present, whatever we are doing at that moment, whatever person we are meeting with is the most important person at that time, and our duty is to do good to him. That is what we human beings are sent for into the life, right? So king finally got the answers to all his three questions, right? So did you all understand the chapter? Is it all clear to you, children? Good. So, what is the moral that we learned? The moral is to live in the present moment, right? Rather than grumbling about the past and being anxious about tomorrow, we ought to consider every person we meet in the moment as significant beings. We must consider whoever we are meeting in the present as the most important person at that time, whether it is a poor or a rich man, and it is our duty to do good to him, to do him good. Right? Clear? Now, let's start. Please take the correct. Okay. Number one, the king reached the hermit's cell on, how did he reach there? Yes, he was mounted on a horse. He was on a horseback. Sorry. Now, when the king approached the hermit, the answer was, what was hermit doing at that time? He was digging earth, right? The man came running from the woods, had a wound in his stomach. Yes, his stomach was bleeding. There was a wound in his stomach, right? Number four, the king the king dressed the bearded man's wound with, how did he dress his wound with? He used his handkerchief and the hermit's staff, right? So, see. Number five, after dressing the bearded man's wound, the king slept. Where did he sleep? On the threshold, on the entrance of the hermit's cell. Clear? Let's move on. Now let's answer the following questions. Number one, what were the three questions that occurred to the king? Now children, Do you know what were the three questions that occurred to the thing? Right? First one was, what was the right time to begin anything? Right? To begin something. Number two, who was the most important person in his life and who are the ones that he should be avoiding? Right? And number three, what was the most important thing to do? Right? So these were the questions that had come to the king's mind. Okay. Number two, why did the king go to the wise hermit? He went to the wise hermit to seek answers to the three questions. Why did he go there alone and dressed like a commoner? Because the hermit was a quitter and he did not see many people. He only allowed few common people, few common folks to visit him. That is why he dressed up as a commoner, as a common man. Right. Number three, who was the bearded man who came running from the woods? How had he got wounded? Now, who was that man? Well, he was an enemy of the king whose brother the king had killed, and also the king had seized his property. And how had he got wounded? Because he was there to take his revenge from the king. He was waiting for the king to return back from the hermit's place, and there he wished to kill him. And while he came out from his hiding place, the king's bodyguard, they recognized him and wounded. Right? So that is how he got that wound. Number four, how did digging a bed for the hermit save the king's life? So, had the king not felt pity for the hermit and not started digging the bed for the hermit, he would have been on his way back, and there his enemy was waiting to kill him. So, waiting there was the most important thing he did in his life at that time. That saved his time. So, he helped the hermit and he saved his life. Clear, children? That was all for this chapter. I'll see you guys in the next chapter. Till then, stay elated. Bye, kids.